Well, okay. I guess tonight is a reinvention night. I'll reinvent the stream that went bonkers just a minute ago. Thanks for being here. I'm thinking up and down today. The Chauvin trial is just wrapping, and now the jurors get to decide what happens. And folks in Minneapolis or in Minnesota are having all kinds of thoughts about what might happen in both ways. What I'd like to talk with you about tonight is this idea of reinvention. And I'm kind of wondering if you ever wondered if you could reinvent yourself. Some people do it as a matter of course. Some people feel like, what do you mean reinvent myself? Well, let's talk about that. Maybe we'll learn something. Maybe we learn some new tricks. Be able to do it ourselves. Hi, I'm Joel.foner, the Possibilities Coach. And I'm here to help you make your impossible new possibilities. So, what's the first part of this? How do we even decide who we are in the first place? How we decide who we are is a really weird question, because a lot of people feel like, well, I don't decide who I am. I just became who I am. But how did we become who we are? It came, some of it from parents, some of it from upbringing, some of it from experiences. For me, some of who I am came from off-the-cuff comments from people in family, friends. One I remember very distinctly from my grandfather. I was describing once why I was doing something in my career, and he looked at me and said, Joel, I didn't understand much about what you were talking about, but I only have one question. Where could that lead you? And that became a formative thing in terms of who I am. Thinking about this idea of, well, where could that lead me? What possible place on the planet could this choice go to? And that became a way of figuring out who I am. Other people might figure out who they are by good or bad experiences. Might figure out who they are by trying things. Might figure out who they are because they figure they don't have choices. And I kind of feel like that's something that we all deserve. Is we all deserve choices. Choices about who we are. Choices about who we're going to be. And I'm kind of wondering, if you've ever thought about who do you want to be? What kind of question, what kind of answer would you give? All kinds of possibilities. So how do we decide who we are? Some of it came from us. Some of it might have come from other people. Things that we picked up at home. And I wish I could remember. Somebody earlier today was talking about the many choices that come to us. I think it might have been Susan. Talking about the choices that came from childhood. Things like what cereal do you buy? And another one is what toothpaste, right? What toothpaste do you buy? It could be, it's just the one that you've always had around. But then that kind of leads to what triggers change. What triggers change for people? For me, there have been a bunch of kinds of things that have triggered change. Some of it is incidental, an off-the-cuff conversation. One that I remember vividly was with my dad, who once said, Joel, just remember, money is replaceable. Time is not. Use it wisely. And some of those things become, how do we think about the world? Became part of how I think about the world. That time is a really important thing, and how it gets used is a good thing to pay attention to. So, another piece of triggering personal change is sometimes it's big experiences. But if all that is how we become who we are, well, what doesn't trigger change? Well, often, the funny thing is, often the thing that doesn't trigger personal change is saying I'm going to change myself. For me, saying I'm going to change myself has rarely worked. And I know a lot of people who would say the same thing. Well, then, how do you end up reinventing yourself? How do you end up reinventing yourself? it comes from insights. I think it comes from insights. And this is one of, I think, my wired-in things is I'm always looking for insights. Why? Because it helps to understand better, helps to see the world better, helps to open, possibilities better. But how do we look for insights? I mean, I think it's if we look around and say, well, things are the way they are. It's raining out, whatever. That doesn't really lead us much anywhere. What if we go out in search of new experiences? Try something new. Go talk to somebody new. Purposefully have a conversation about something you wouldn't normally talk about. And what comes out of that a lot of the time is some new insight about the way things work. Some new insight about myself. How do I react to that situation? I've put myself, put yourself in a situation that may be a little bit different. I've certainly, over the years, done a whole bunch of things that I got to say were just, let's try this new thing. Now that's scary for some people, for sure. But so one of the keys, I think, about this idea of reinventing yourself is not to make it big. Don't make it big. Try the littlest thing. If the idea of going to a different restaurant than the one you would normally go to, I mean, assuming, we go back to restaurants and stuff, right? If going to a new restaurant is a big deal, well, okay, go to a new restaurant, try a little one, try a little change, then try something bigger, try something bigger, try something bigger, and all of a sudden, wow, here's this new thing. And it turns out once you get used to this idea of reinvention, of coming up with, well, maybe this thing that I've held close, maybe it's run its path. Let's go explore. So, reinvention can actually change your life, but it also can change the lives of people around you. And this is where I think today, to bring this back to the starting point of talking about what's going on with the Chauvin trial in Minneapolis and all that maybe the world being reinvented starts with us deciding to reinvent ourselves. Maybe it starts with deciding, okay, maybe one part of reinvention is I can do something with myself that might make a difference for other people, might spread, might make things better. So reinvention doesn't have to be little, doesn't have to be big, and often, to me, reinvention comes from insight. It doesn't come from, I need to be a new person. It's, oh, well, when I do this, things kind of work better. When I do that, things kind of don't work so well. Why am I doing that instead of this? Oh, okay, maybe that little insight is the thing that then brings us to a new future. So I know I've been really philosophical about stuff today, and I'm hoping useful. And on this big day, let's hope that we are all reinventing something that will be really positive for the future. So thanks for being here. Let's make it better. See you again.